Hi, my name is Will Nunziata, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with FENIX's latest celebrity artist, Franco Giacomarra. Franco is a writer and composer for the theater and a songwriter in the music world. And before I speak with him, here's a sneak peek at Franco's amazing songwriting talent.
It was a Friday night, 48 degrees. I remember that cause I was sweating bad even though there was a breeze. And it was scary standing there by myself. I was all kinds of nervous, but I don't think she could tell.
You're nervous.
No, I'm not.
Are you sure?
What? No, I'm not.
Well, hello, Franco, how are you?
I am so well, Will. Thank you for talking to me this morning.
Oh my gosh, thank you for talking with me. Well, the audience just heard the song Tell Me Something Else, an original song from an original musical you wrote called Where Does the Light Go? You're such an amazing talent.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I love discovering new talent. It's one of my favorite things, and why honestly I've come onto FENIX as their first global artist ambassador. Who knew? But as a director and a creator, I love meeting new talent. And I was introduced to you through a mutual dear friend, Billy Reese. And I would love to, dive in, talk about, what inspires you as a songwriter and a writer for the theater.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I would say that what I am drawn to primarily is story. So I do dabble in a lot of different forms and mediums. Like sometimes I will just write prose. Sometimes I write comics too, because I like comics a lot. And then obviously a lot of writing, like musical theater is probably my favorite thing. And then screenplay, stage play, whatever. So I'm most drawn to story because, as you can see, I am kind of sporadic in terms of what medium I like to work in. But I definitely I'm definitely drawn to stories about people who are kind of have complicated identities and that they're kind of half in one world and half in another, and they kind of can't reconcile the whole. So that can sometimes take the form of like a wacky sci-fi type thing, or it can take the form of a very personal story, like Where Does the Light Go? Because that happened to be about my own background, my mother being Puerto Rican, my father being Italian, and
Wow.
me feeling a very strong connection to both of those. But not being fully either of them in some of the ways that we like to categorize people, in terms of the way you look, your name, the language you speak. So kind of that whole project was about dealing with what does it mean to be either one of those things, and how do you try to signify that in your life versus how do you just live that through whatever your lived experience is. So I would say that in all my disparate works, which are through lots of disparate mediums, that is probably the unifying factor is someone finding their identity and where they belong, because I think we all belong to a lot of things in reality is what I would say.
I love that. I love that you have a clear North Star. I mean, for being so young, you have such a clear North Star with the expression in what you want to get across. And I mean, I wouldn't consider it sporadic at all. I mean, I love the fact about how unapologetic you are in your North Star, because it comes from a place of truth where frankly that makes you that much more relatable as not only a songwriter, as a writer for the theater, but as an artist. And when I look at the breadth of your work, Franco, I just think of an artist with a capital A. I know that's some of the discussion we've had with a lot of the artists in these interviews, but I love it. And, I think it's so special that someone like you, who's able to use their talent for the greater good, to not only express their own stories and backgrounds, but I think of all the young Francos out there who may be struggling with that divide, and maybe that unapologetic nature that you have is going to inspire them to say, you know what? I can live in both worlds, and there's beauty in the mess of all of it. And I'm excited for an artist like you too, Franco, and joining FENIX, because not only are you going to be able to connect with other collaborators here in the States, but around the world, where you have messages in your music and storytelling that's transcendent and universal of any language.
Thank you. I totally appreciate that.
No, I mean, it's the truth, my friend. I mean, I want to know where you were born and when did you realize that, you weren't just going to be one thing in the art world, that you had all of these talents and interests?
That is a great question. Well, as far as where I originate from in the wide world, I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I lived, with my family in Philadelphia for like the first 5 years of my life. Then we moved to, about 10, 15 miles north of the city. So that's
Whereabouts?
in like Lansdale, PA, which is in Montgomery County.
Oh,
And
cool,
upper
cool, cool.
counties of Philadelphia. And
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, you're not local, are you? No, you're from here.
I'm not, but I got excited when you said 10 to 15 minutes outside the city. And of course, I'm thinking New York, and that's where I was born, 10 to 15 minutes outside of New York City. But
Gotcha.
But you are of the Philadelphia.
Yes, that is where I'm from, whereabouts. And I would say that my artistic journey, for lack of a better phraseology, kind of began with my parents, because one thing that they always really stressed to us is like, you guys, being me and my brother. I have an older brother who's 10 months older than me, actually. So we're
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm a twin, so I kind of get it.
Oh, yeah. So we're close to you. It's not quite. I don't think we got the telepathy thing, but like we're very close in other ways. Yeah. So they were like, you guys should learn to play instruments, because they are both like really deep lovers of music. And that's been something that they're always really passionate about. And they were like, it hurts us kind of like to not be able to play it, like to love it so much and to not be able to make it. Like
Wow.
That's kind of, one of those things that always will nag at you.
Right.
So they were like, I promise you, I know practicing stinks when you're a kid, because it does. Like, no one likes to practice because it doesn't sound like music. It sounds like terrible scales and stuff. But they were like, if you can one day, when you have a feeling that's really strong, that's really overwhelming you, or if you're like upset or, something of that nature, and you can go and play it out and can put it into music and put it into something that like you can place outside of yourself, they were like, that is going to be such a gift to you. So I always remember, they probably don't even remember saying that, but I always remember them telling me that. So, me and my brother, we learned instruments when we were growing up. Like, I'm not going to say we were dedicated prodigies, because like I said, practicing stinks. So sometimes like we were really lax about it. And I would not practice. But anyway, that's not the point. So we learned music, and we formed like little bands. Like we kind of always had a band going from like 7th grade on to today. Like we had a pop punk band, we had a metal band, we had a funk band in college. So we were always in that space of creating. And I always just did like to write. I always like to write and come up with stories. That's always what I was doing when I was a kid. And when it came time in high school to kind of figure out like, what are you going to do? Like, what path are you going to try to pursue? I was like, I think I want to be like a writer. And then, it got into, I was like, maybe I want to do screenplays, or maybe I want to do theater. And then I eventually found out like, it's really theater that's calling to me. Like, I want to write musicals. Like, I want to do those kinds of stories that really touch me. Cause like, those were always the ones that really moved me in a way. So
that's amazing.
I would say I experimented with a lot of things and ended up kind of trying my hand at all of them, and still do. And that's
it makes sense that you landed in the theater as kind of a bliss of yours. I mean, but not limited to, because here are your beautiful parents who gave you the tools and the encouragement to use your skill set and talent to express yourself. And in what other medium where you get a visceral, emotional experience than the theater? And on top of that, Franco, I just think, again, going back to the unapologetic nature of the flow that you seem to be in most of the time when it comes to your creativity, that it began with your parents' advice to you and your brother that, frankly, that the sky's the limit, but that also the importance of craft. And again, I'm just so excited about the opportunities that being a part of FENIX is going to do for someone like you, who, again, in not only meeting other collaborators across the country and around the world, but for you to showcase everything you do. You know, I feel like there's so many social media platforms that, you know, it's only good to like show one aspect, but I like that FENIX is called FENIX 360 for a reason. It gets the whole person, and that unapologetic nature that you have in terms of expressing your whole self as you were taught by your parents is simply amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm also very excited. It's a very cool thing that FENIX is doing.
Well, I'm so thrilled that you spoke with me today. I could speak with you far longer, but I can't wait to see what you do next and to continue to be in touch. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.